It's the old fart from Texas again with the latest and greatest magazine adapter for the SKS rifle. This adapter was created over about 18 months. It's questionable whether ever make a dime on it, but the point is it will convert your SKS to using standard AR-15 magazine 7.62 by 39. Don't try to use the other magazines. It's got to be 7.62 by 39. And we'll get into a preferred source later, maybe, maybe not. So before we start with the installation instructions, I thought we'd just show what you're going to end up with when you're done installing this. The adapter will stick out the bottom of your SKS just like it does on a AR-15, and the magazine goes in just like it does on an AR-15. It just, you don't even have to slap it in. It's a smooth, slick insert. It feeds, eject them over there, but just that easy with the bolt hold open. Just like with the normal SKS, if you want, you can pull the mag, depress the follower, and release the floor plate, close the bolt, or you can just push the button and the mag just drops out. It drops free. So that's the idea with what you're going to end up with when the installation is done. Now let's stop the video for just a second, take this thing apart so we can show you how it got put together. Okay, let's start with the basics of what definitions we're going to be working with. This is the magazine adapter. It has one moving part. It'll come with an Allen wrench that you'll use to insert do the final insertion on your SKS. This is your trigger group. The difference you'll see here is that the forward tang here has been taken down a couple tenths. It'll depend on your exact rifle exactly how much comes off, but we'll see as we go through the instructions exactly how that works. This is called, this part right here is the forward tang, and you'll see that in the instructions as well. And the standard locking mechanism, magazine locking mechanism is here. AR-15 magazine has been modified, but they will be available commercially. This is 20 rounder from, let me move forward just a bit in the instructions. The ASC magazine, which is Ammunition Storage Corporation. Now, they make quite a few magazines. It's an AR-15 7.62 by 39, not anything else. Because obviously that's what your SKS eats, and so the magazine has to be for the correct round. Okay, the tolerances of the SKS, as many of you know, vary from manufacturer, from country to country, and then sometimes even rifle to rifle. So when we give you tolerances, they're going to be as tight as we can make them, and you're going to need a bit of patience because you're going to have to work through it. It's hard to put metal back, so don't take off too much. Just take off a little bit at a time. Okay, this is the drop-free bolt mod body. All right, this is not a Marcus product. And you do it to your own bolt. You shave off a bit of the bottom and a bit of the side of the bolt, and it lightens the bolt, which is kind of good. And there's instructions on the web for it. There's instructions everywhere for it. Go to sksports.com and you can find the instructions there. Okay, so what that allows it to do is have the bolt close over a magazine, so you can cycle the bolt open or closed and remove the magazine. Okay, now before you put the stock in the rifle, let's back up just a little bit. The adapter and the magazine are going to require that you route out a bit of the wood on your SKS stock. Now, if you don't want to do that to your own stock, there's plenty of stocks out there on eBay and Gunbroker and you name it, where you can buy a stock that you can modify to make this change. And you can see on a normal SKS stock, let's get these faced the same way. This is a smooth transition from the magwell area up into the duckbill area. Once it's modified for the mag adapter, it's going to be widened out. Now, this will work on all SKSs. The width of the remaining wood will vary, however, depending on the original width of the stock. The Yugoslavians seem to use more wood than anybody else. Doesn't mean that yours is going to be wider, but most of them are. So I don't think it's going to be a problem for any stock made. There are some Albanian replacement stocks that I haven't looked at, but it should work with them as well. And you can see here the net difference. Now, the advantage is that this width right here really doesn't matter. You can almost cut this entire section off, have two sections of wood, because you have steel from the front to the rear of the rifle, and that's what's holding the gun together, and that's what's taking the shot, not the stock. People call this all kinds of things, but it's really just a crossbow. It does not absorb any shock from the rifle at all when you're firing. It doesn't. So that's about it on the stock. I'm not going to take the time to do the routing of the stock. The instructions tell you how to do it, and what measurements you need, and how to use this as the guide, so it, you end up with it fitting inside instead of sitting on top. Okay, so let's, oh, excuse me. Okay, now this, you're going to have to understand, this is the first time I've done this. Let's set this aside as well, and just use the metal so we can all see what's happening. The bolt's closed. We put the trigger mechanism in because your rear locking section is part of the trigger mechanism. Okay, we're going to start with the assembly process, and I'm going to try to stress all of the what you might call glitches and things you might or might not have to do depending on your rifle. First thing you want to do is make sure that the thing actually fits and locks in, just out of the gun, just like that. If it does, you know that your magazine will lock into the adapter, and you push the button and it drops out. So that's the way it's going to work once it's all installed in the gun. Okay, assembly. This little device right here is basically variable length. You may have to shorten it, and I'll explain why. The reason is because the distance between this notch right here and the forward end, I don't know, I guess that's receiver bar, whatever that is, varies. Not only country to country, but even rifle to rifle. The tolerances, while they're supposed to be very tight on the SKS, they're really not. They're more like a military rifle. They should be loose, so if a little dirt gets in there, it still fires. So when we're mounting this, we'll slide this adapter right here underneath the forward trunnion and lock it down. And if it doesn't lock down, The problem is that this device is too long. So you can force it, but if you do, the odds are good it won't feed. Even if you can't even get a magazine in. Well, yeah, it's stuck. But the odds are good it won't feed. It's not a good installation. So what you have to do to fix that and to find the sweet spot of the magazine is take out this little part right here, I call it a locking nut, and shorten it like that. For this particular rifle, it had to come off, that's something less than a tenth, it's a few 64ths. And once it's off, we'll show you what the difference is. When you put this in, make sure you get the thing in right, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay. Now we lock it in. What am I doing here, boss?
Put it in, put the mag in, let it find the sweet spot.
Oh, okay.
No. Put the adapter in.
Put the adapter in.
Lock it in the back. Now, just...
But it's not locked.
Well, it will.
Okay, that's it. And now we put the mag in, and it doesn't move forward and back anymore. All of a sudden you found the sweet spot. Now you can tighten this back down again. Not too tight yet. We'll get everything done before you really torque things in. And with any luck, the mag drops out. Now you know that it's basically aligned correctly because the mag goes in easily and it drops out. And all you've had to do so far, let's back up just a little bit, all you've had to do so far was make a slight modification to this little keeper bar and take off a bit of the forward tang on the trigger group. So that's not been too tough. This is the first time I've done this too, and it is not causing any difficulties. It's, I think the trick is on both here, trigger group, everywhere, every time you have to make a mod, just take it slow. If it take off a little bit, you can't put metal back, you can't put wood back. So take off a thousandths, even if you think you need to take off 3, take off 1. And that's pretty much, boy, we've got through 3 pages already. And now we got mag function testing of the system while it works. And I showed you earlier, even with live ammo, that it feeds perfectly. It feeds as well, believe it or not, as the original box mag, or original 10-round mag that came on the rifle. It's I've never seen on this rifle, I have never seen it fail to feed, and that's like 100%. So what is next, I believe, is the stock. Let me take a break, get this all apart, and get a stock over here and show you how to put it together. Okay, let's talk about the stock and the modifications required for that. I showed you earlier the difference between the standard stock and the cut down stock. The reason obviously is that this will fit in the cut down stock, but it won't fit the forward end of the standard stock. Whoops, it won't fit at all. I have that wrong. It won't fit at all into a standard stock. So it's not difficult, but it takes time and you have to be patient. Once you've got your magazine in and you've located the sweet spot wherever that is, then you want to set this, the stock you're going to cut, right next to it, and align it like it will sit in the rifle. Then you can mark the forward end of the stock, or the forward end of the adapter, the forward end of the box adapter, and the rear end of the box adapter. Once you've done that, just pull it out, set it in place with the marks you already made, and lay tape along both sides so you know how much has to come off the sides. So this will drop in like it does here. And I keep saying it, but you just have to be patient. You have to be careful. You have to go slow. And if you do, it's not going to be a problem. If you try to rush through it, you're probably not going to have really good results. So let's just set this aside. We don't really need it for that. We had a little operator error. So you put it in just like we did before with making sure that that's all the way forward. Slide it all the way forward. And at this point, we're ready to torque. So we use the torque end. Remember, aluminum, stainless steel, you're not going to strip it like you would if there was plastic. You're not going to stretch it. It's in there. Okay, final test, proof of the pudding. Put the mag in, nice and tight. And that's it. As you can see, it's not what you call plug and play. You have to do some work, and you have to go slow, and you have to be careful. I strongly suggest you follow the first instruction here, or one of the first instructions. Read this thing at least once, but preferably twice, with the gun disassembled, with your SKS disassembled in front of you, with all the parts that you need, which is basically this. And go through it and say, and read it so many times that you say, I know I can do it without the instructions. And then start to work and use the instructions. And it'll work. And once complete, this magazine works not only in your SKS, but it also continues to work in your AR, and with no problem. So once you get one of these, and I think they're $22 from the website, you can take your own AR mag, set it on next to it, mark them, and make your own. Excuse me, because all you're doing is taking metal off here and around here. You're not screwing with the follower, you're not screwing with the feed lips. Please don't screw with the feed lips. And it works. Like the ad says, really.